Welcome into MJT football, our little wrap party here on week 4, where we go back and talk about all of our big mistakes. I'm joined by Michael on the microphone, Joseph Morley. I am Tony Tucker, and I think we are going to play some music. So let's, make like Kenny Pickett, throw a couple interceptions, and play the music.
Blow the game.
Zero incompletions for Kenny Pickett in that game.
I just want to point out that every quarterback that touched the field in that game threw interceptions. So it's not all Kenny Pickett's fault.
But he's the last quarterback to throw a pick on his first completion or first play was who? Big Ben?
Oh, I didn't know that stat.
So it's all good. It's going to work out great in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, what are the odds that would be the stat? Yeah, so Kenny Pickett, 3 interceptions. Mitch Trubisky, an interception, but only 84 yards passing in most of the game. And then Zach Wilson, 2 interceptions. So that was just like a defensive battle right there. That's what was really happening. Kenny Pickett was fine.
Yeah, and I like how I was getting trash talk messages from you about how good Zach Wilson was in that game.
It was not good. What do you mean?
We're going to get to that. We'll get touching all the games. Please, the chat is free. Or if you're watching the replay, comments, like, subscribe, join us all the time, all season long, all year long for football conversation. We don't need to spend too much time on last Thursday. This was the infamous concussion bowl gate, whatever people are calling it on the internets. I don't know. I'm bad on social media. The Bengals get rolling. I love how one win for the Bengals puts them back up in everybody's top 10 for the power rankings. I was just looking around. I did see some stuff. I was like, wait, the Bengals are good again? But
they beat the powerhouse. They beat the best team in the league, the Miami Dolphins, Tony.
Yeah, I guess all you got to do is beat a banged-up Dolphins team on a short week on the road and the Jets the week before that, and it cures everything. So, you guys got any thoughts from this game?
And the biggest thing that's got everyone hyped up is the Bengals offense looking closer to back, obviously. I think Joe Breezy had close to 300 yards. T. Higgins had a big game again, and Jamar Chase had a solid game. And the week before against New York, I think they had 200-yard receivers. At that time, it was Boyd and Higgins. And, Tony, you said it. Maybe it was offline, maybe it was online. Like, T. Higgins is starting to shine in that offense. And we may have a competition of who the wide receiver one of that offense is. But really, I think everyone's excited because the Bengals offense is looking closer to what it should be. They have so much talent. The O-line has been holding them back, obviously, but they still overcame that last year.
Except for Joe Mixon. What do you have, 2-3 carries on the 1-yard line? He couldn't get it in? He couldn't put it in?
5. He had 5. He had 6 total carries inside the 5-yard line. He only scored 1 touchdown.
Reminds me of when I was younger, Tony.
You could never finish either. What's failing to see the connection there?
So you're not my dad. You're lying.
I'm just saying I couldn't get it in. Anyway.
Well, we're back to Teddy Bridgewater starting, and as you guys know, I love me some backup quarterbacks, so I will be rooting on Teddy Bridgewater this week. Can't wait for Heineke season. Vikings, Saints, first London game of the year. And this was actually a good one. I don't know how good the football was, but it was at least entertaining and close. Vikings come away with a win. Lutz with the double doink. Oh, that's just got to be an awful flight home. Losing like that with no chance to go into overtime. This game to me was I don't want to hear any more excuses for why you can't get Justin Jefferson the ball, because Marshawn Lattimore is one of the best corners in the league, and they found a way to get him involved. The offense looks better whenever you get Justin Jefferson involved. So there should be no more of this, 4 for 36 yards nonsense from Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, and the Vikings are starting to show a little bit of a concern on the defensive side of the ball too. So the key to success for them, obviously, is getting the ball to Justin Jefferson and running the points up, because Andy Dalton, without Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas, just almost upset them. I know it was in London. I'll give them a little bit of a pass traveling to London, but it's been like this. It was like this against the Lions as well, where they almost got beat down the stretch of a game because their offense didn't quite get to that 30, 35-point mark that we kind of expect from them on a weekly basis if Justin Jefferson is getting 10 catches for 170 freaking yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes it pretty easy when the Saints' only weapon is Chris Olave, right? And it's like once they figured out, like, all we got to do is stick him and double him, we got nobody else. You're going to have Andy Dalton come out and lead you to a championship or lead you to a team? Come on. We were live during this game because we were doing our fantasy football show on Sunday. And you guys remember how pissed I was because Kirk Cousins was on my fantasy team, but they ended up winning. But I remember, Tony, you said when the kicker Lutz kicked the first field goal, right? Because he kicked a 60-yarder earlier, and you said, oh, that was only good from 60 and a half yards or whatever. So then when he had to go back for the 61, he missed it. So you called that, Tony.
Yeah, I don't take full credit because he did hit the upright, so it probably would have been good from like 63, but I appreciate you throwing me a little shine on that one. The Saints, they technically are still in this division at 1-3. And we'll get to the Panthers, which I have no faith in, and the Falcons being a 2-2 football team. That's a facade in my estimation too. Come on, Saints, get it together. You guys should be better than 1-3. The pass rush finally came alive too, which was nice. Like Cam Jordan, talk a lot of smack about the Chargers. Why don't you go ahead and put it on everybody else too? This game may have been the most exciting game of the weekend, gentlemen. The Seahawks and the Detroit Lions putting up buckets, 48-45. So much fun. Geno Smith and Jared Goff. This is two backup quarterbacks still getting to start in the NFL. Jared Goff might be that sort of 18 to 20 starter, but I can't see any team investing time or resources into Geno Smith at this point in his career. My biggest takeaway from this game was that the Lions offense is still high-powered and functioning without Amon-Ra and DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, it seems like when their backs are against the wall, they're at their best. The team always, every week, either blows a lead or comes back on a big deficit and then blows the game at the end. It's like a clockwork thing with the Lions over the last couple of years. They haven't been able to finish games. And to give up 48 points to the Seahawks, I know they had to pick 6 in the game, which helped them get to 48 points. That even brings it down to 41. The Lions defense is not looking very improved with some of the additions that they made this offseason. I know Jeff Okudah was having a better year until this game when DK Metcalf went off for the first time this season. And I know that Aiden Hutchinson was having a decent start to his career. But if the Lions defense is going to be like this going forward, I'm still probably not picking them in very many games. I didn't take them to win this one.
Did we wake up? Can we take credit for waking up TJ Hawkinson? There was a couple weeks ago where we were like, TJ Hawkinson ain't nothing. All he did is overrated. And then the last 2 games he's come out and just woke up. But they had to go somewhere, right? And can Jared Goff get some damn credit here? Jared Goff was thrown to the wolves, and everybody said he's crap. The Lions will get rid of him in 1 or 2 years, and he's not going to become anything. He's now been a part of 2 of the most high-scoring games in NFL history. Because you guys remember the Rams and the Chiefs game a couple of years ago. Jared Goff is balling out. Jared Goff needs all the credit because he's out there when people left him out to die. Rams fans said, we don't need you, Jared Goff. Get out of here. We'll bring in the broken Matthew Stafford to win a Super Bowl, and we'll leave you in Detroit. And Jared Goff said, no, I'm turning this team. Who? I want to know who's responsible for this Detroit offense. I want to know who's doing it because whoever is doing it, they figured out how to score points in the NFL. They know how to score points in the NFL, and they're doing a damn great job because this Detroit Lions, they don't have the greatest weapons. They don't have the biggest names. Jamal Williams, like Tony, I know you're a big Jamal Williams fan, but he's not a big household name, and he's out there putting up points every week. putting up yards. Whoever designed these play calls, they know what they're doing, and I love it. I love it. Detroit.
Yeah, I think the offensive coordinator's name is something like Ben Johnson or something. It's very like a plain Jane style name. It's not Deuce Staley. They have a great offensive line, and they're smart about it. They're doing what the Rams should be doing with a bad offensive line, or what the Bills should be doing is they've had some offensive struggles, which is run the football. Because even at the threat of the run, the Chargers should be doing this too. The threat of the run will make your pass game better. So if they don't feel like they don't have to guard against the run with the Lions, you really have to. And they have enough playmakers. They've had top 10 picks for like a decade straight. They should have a lot of talent on that team on both sides of the ball. So we'll see. I'm happy for the Lions.
I hate to be a Debbie Downer on the Goff talk, but I believe they only have like 4 wins in their last 20 games with Goff.
Yeah. No, it's not good.
It's not even.
But you can see how this year it is not Goff's fault they are losing.
Not completely, no.
Yeah, I mean,
Goff has been to a Super Bowl. There's a lot of quarterbacks that can't say that.
Yeah. There's only 2 teams get to go every year, so a lot of quarterbacks will not get to do it. RC in here giving me props for a win. I needed it. I changed my team name.
Oh yeah, that's for fantasy football. I say RC shows the perfect time to be the bearer of bad news. The Lions are going to have their 21st loss on Sunday against the Patriots.
Look, the Lions might not get to the 10-win prediction that I put them at, but they're making people talk, and people are talking about them. It just sucks. I thought Aaron Glenn was a better defensive coordinator than he is. To have the 32nd ranked defense with the number 1 offense, that sucks. But it makes for great TV.
It does. It's very, very entertaining. And it does suck for Aaron Glenn. I like him. Aaron Glenn's former team, the New York Jets, that's where he played his NFL career, if you did not know that, played the Steelers. And this game just pissed me off just so badly. At home, Mitch Trubisky, and you get the Jets who are winning games, like they really could be one of the worst teams in the NFL. They've had 2 miraculous fourth quarter, what is happening type games. I think it was the second interception in this game. I was like, why are you even throwing the football? Like, why not just run some read options and hang on to the ball and use Najee? Why are we throwing the football? Well, this is what happens. Interceptions. Zach Wilson did have a good drive at the end of that game, completed some passes and won. But I'm going to say this. This is my biggest takeaway. The Steelers might be 1-7 at the midway point. Their next 4 games are absolutely brutal. Like, they play the Bills and the Bucks and the Bengals, and like, there's really good teams on this schedule over the next couple of weeks, and they're starting a rookie. I'm not giving up, but it does not look like Mike Tomlin's going to continue that win streak.
Yeah, I think that it might be done as well. I even put it in my little Pick'ems video. This might be the first losing season, seeing their schedule. The Jets, I'm going to be honest with you, Tony. I'll be honest with you, Joe. I picked the Jets to win. I had a gut feeling. They got lucky. They got lucky as hell. They played a team where the first quarterback throwing interceptions and fumbling. The second quarterback throws 3 interceptions in the game as well, including a key one late in the game where basically the Steelers needed like 2 first downs to end it. Like, just run the ball. Even if you just run the ball and play defense, is a better option than Kenny Pickett rolling back, throwing across his body, across the whole field to the sideline where the ball's dropped by the receiver on top of it all, and then, intercepted right behind him, which allowed the Jets to take the lead at the last minute there. It's both the Browns game and the Steelers game. I think the only 2 Jets victories have been almost complete luck. Of course, the players had to make the plays, but they shouldn't have been in a situation or a position to win either of those games. That's probably why Teddy Bridgewater going to get his first W as a Miami Dolphin this weekend.
And if you think Zach Wilson is a great quarterback after watching this game, you're wrong. You're wrong. Zach Wilson is not the future of the New York Jets. They're going to have to go with a new quarterback. But at least they found a running back. At least they're smart and going, hey, Breece Hall's our guy. At least they're going to use him. And we saw Corey Davis show up. That was interesting. After I was like, I'm done with Corey Davis. It's like, if I drop you in fantasy football, you're going to do good the next week. So, Allen Robinson, you're going to do good next week. But I'm with you, Tony. Where's Najee Harris? And I think bringing Kenny Pickett in now, like I love Mitchell Trubisky. I like Mitchell Trubisky. And I think they're moving on too fast. But here's the one thing I think about bringing when they're going to bring Kenny Pickett in is they're going to start running the ball at least. If not, we got the George Pickens show starting. So it already started this week with him and Kenny Pickett's connection. But Pittsburgh Steelers, we kind of talked about this in the offseason that this could be the first year that we see Mike Tomlin go down. And I think it's just that play calling with Matt Canada is horrible.
Yeah, it's not a good thing there. I think Kenny Pickett is going to target George Pickens like crazy because he's afraid of him. Like he's a rookie, so he can intimidate him. Like everywhere he goes, like Pickens is just going to be making that weird face.
Pickens going to stand there like, you got to throw me the damn ball.
You guys want to do an exercise real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
Rank these 3 quarterbacks: Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, Mike White.
Ooh.
Joe Flacco.
How many of those quarterbacks has a 500-yard game? Mike White is the only one. Oh, Flacco.
Let me tell you something, Mike. The way that people look at quarterbacks is Super Bowl rings. And my boy, Joe Flacco has a ring.
Joe Flacco at 1. Is Mike White at 2 or Zach Wilson at 2?
It's Wilson, White, Flacco.
Come on, Tony.
Flacco is done. I hate to, rain on the parade. I love the exercise. The sad thing is that it's way closer than it should be. And I hope Zach Wilson was just a little rusty in that first game back. Let's not spend a lot of time on this next one. Bears, Giants, Daniel Jones gets injured. But even before the injury, just not the guy. This experiment is over.
Did you not see his touchdown runs?
I did. And it is quarterback play of somebody that you would feel really good about having as a backup quarterback. That is the kind of football that I watch when I see there. The offense almost looked a little bit better running the Wildcat with Breida and Saquon Barkley in the backfield. That's all I got to say.
I know why you're mad. You're mad because your boy Tyrod Taylor came in for a couple plays and then was hurt already.
Threw an interception, got a concussion in like seven minutes, like only Tyrod can. And it was week 4 too. I was gonna rip this prediction off the wall and be like, I called it. Look at this victory. Nope.
You know what I take out of this game? At first, I think the Giants are very overrated, and their fans are getting crazier at the 3-1. Good for you. Congratulations. Enjoy it. But by the end of the year, everything's going to work its way out. But what I take out of this game is Khalil Herbert is the man in Chicago. David Montgomery's not your guy. Khalil Herbert needs to be the starting running back in Chicago and help Justin Fields out. But that's the only thing I take out of it. Other than that, it was just 2 crappy teams playing each other, and one team had a win.
Yeah, and what I took from this game is that Saquon Barkley is the man on the continent of North America right now. This guy is going nuts. Did you see that highlight where he goes one way and it's just completely shut down because the Giants' O-line does stink. Don't forget about that. And it's just completely shut down. He's like, I'll just juke out 3 people and go the other way for a touchdown. Saquon is back, and I'm hoping that he stays healthy for the whole year because his stat line is going to be insane by the time we get there if he keeps doing what he's doing. Even if the Giants start to lose some games, this guy's going to keep making plays like that. Maybe 1 a game, hopefully, for the rest of the year. Saquon choo-choo train. He's carrying this team on his back because the Giants don't look good on the field other than 26. The defense doesn't look great. Like, they held the Bears, but it's no brag. They had less than 100 passing yards. Again.
You saw it, Mike. Like, the whole defense bit on Barkley twice near the end zone, which just allowed Daniel Jones to walk into the end zone. So it's not that Daniel Jones made athletic plays. It's just that there was like, okay, Barkley's the only guy we got to stop. And, he didn't get the ball?
I think Danny Dimes had less than 100 passing yards in this game, and they still won. And they have Kadarius Toney. Get Kadarius Toney's ass out there. Is he still hurt? Come on. I want to see these 2 just juke the whole field out and score all the Giants touchdowns.
Hey, do you guys know that me me, Mike, and Tony, we have as many receiving yards as my guy Kenny Galladay has in the last 3 weeks.
That's sad. That is the worst contract.
But his bank account.
Oh, also, one more thing. With Tyrod Taylor's door being slammed shut, Tony, sorry. I feel bad for Tyrod Taylor. My guy's door cracks back open. Mike Glennon season. Here we go.
I didn't even know he was still in the league. Get out of here with this nonsense. And I forgot to say hi to Harrison up there. What's going on, Harrison? Let's go to Indy, and it's a good place for both these teams to be because they should start prepping for the combine. These two teams, neither of them look good. I know the Titans won the game, and they're going to be in there competing for the division. I just think they have too many injuries to pull off what they did last year, and they beat a Colts team that finally gets back Shaquille Leonard, and then he gets a concussion and a broken nose from his own teammate. Like, that's how the season is going for the Colts right now. That him trying to make a play over the middle, two teammates slam into each other, the Jonathan Taylor injury. This game on Thursday night, I am not looking forward to tomorrow at all. And if before you told me before the season these two teams were going to be playing, I would have been excited about Colts Broncos. And now I'm like, wait, Phillip Lindsay versus Melvin Gordon? Like, these are the two running backs in the game that I'm rooting for Mike Boone because I had to overspend on him because of injuries. Russell Wilson looks lost. But from this game, I was just like, okay, Titans, they're going to be just good enough to keep Malik Willis out of our lives this year. And that's what makes me sad. That was my takeaway from this game.
I'm with you on that. And similar with my opinion on the Giants, and sorry, Titans fans, this might be a little bit harsh. I feel like the Titans need Derrick Henry to carry this team to be successful in games against, bad teams or teams that are on a similar level to them. When they see good teams, they're probably going to lose. They probably should have lost to the Raiders. And the Jaguars can honestly compete for this division now. They can honestly compete for this division now. And Joe, speaking of Thursday night, it's game. It should be your favorite game to watch. You got the former Super Bowl winning quarterback versus a former Super Bowl appearing quarterback. We've been talking about it the whole show.
Yeah, two of the best quarterbacks in the league. Look, you guys ripped me last week. I wasn't able to make our pick'em show. You guys talked a lot of crap that I took the Titans over the Colts. It's because Matt Ryan and this offense is not clicking right now. I don't know what it is. Maybe the offensive line isn't as good as they thought it was going to be, and they're not getting their plays. Now Jonathan Taylor's banged up. I'm trying to remember who it is because I saw a quote last week. There's a Colts player that came out and was talking about how they continuously switch quarterbacks every year, and it takes them time to learn the new quarterback, to learn the new tricks of the quarterback and get on page. And then he actually goes, look at the Titans over there. They have Ryan Tannehill for the last couple of years. Like, they were praising Ryan Tannehill, the crappy Ryan Tannehill. They were like, look at that. That's an organization that has it together. But at least the Titans know what they're getting with Ryan Tannehill week in and week out. They're not getting a place where they're not getting this is the new Lucas Oilfield is now the on Lion King when you look it out and you go, don't go over there. That's the quarterback graveyard right there. Right there in Lucas Oilfield is a quarterback graveyard.
Yeah. And everything the light touches for the Titans is ours. It was Nyheim Hines, and he was making a very good point that for 5 years in a row, the one thing that you want with football players, creatures of habit and consistency, you want all of those things. Even if the consistency is just average, you still want that consistency. And they haven't had it. And we're seeing it be affected again. And I think Thursday night is going to be another episode of the downfall of Frank Reich and a GM who I think is really good. Ballard might be somebody out there that I think could get another job pretty quick too.
Yeah, and I saw that report today. Sorry, Mike. I saw a report today that this could be the game that both of them their jobs are on the line. And I'm like, Chris Ballard's job's on the line, like he would be snatched up quick.
Yeah.
He probably would be. Yeah. Well, of which quarterbacks in the QB graveyard, which of them did the best?
Jacoby Brissett.
No way!
You
Look,
watch your mouth.
He took that team to the playoffs and pushed the Buffalo Bills to the wire. Come on, Phillip Rivers, most successful quarterback on the Colts of the last couple of years. I was about to say.
Yeah, he should have won that game against the Bills too.
Yeah.
Speaking of Philly Rivers, let's go to his former team, the Chargers Texans. Chargers get back in the win column this week, 34-20. Crowd's going wild. That's a fully packed SoFi Stadium, in case you missed it, against the Texans, all powder blue, 70,000 screaming fans. Here's what I realized, that there needs to be a vacancy in the offensive coordinator position for the Chargers, because at certain points the offense can look unstoppable, and then the only person that stops them is the person calling the plays into the sideline and saying, hey, let's slow it down. Let's take a little air out of the ball. Let's not focus on the run game. Let's throw 5-yard hitches. So my biggest takeaway here as a Chargers fan was I'm ready to allow this offense to breathe a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm with you. And it's something that's frustrating to see as a Chargers fan, because obviously we view Justin Herbert amongst those few quarterbacks in the league that are on that next tier. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, these guys. And we just want Justin Herbert to be given the opportunity to prove to everyone else what we see is true, and that he is on the level, if not better, than some of those guys. And the offensive play calling severely holds him back from doing that. It really does. So I agree with you. And down the stretch in that game, the Chargers gave up that lead. Yeah, we had a drop pass. Yeah, we had a fumble on special teams. But at the end of the day, I don't know how many second half drives we had. I'm going to say 5 to 7. You have 7 second half drives and you have Justin Herbert. I want to see touchdowns on 2, 3, 4 of those drives. And that puts away the Texans. That makes that a 40-10 game.
I don't know. You guys, I don't want to. I'm not going to talk a lot about bad stuff about the Chargers, because when I was watching this game, this was the game that I always have one game on and then the red zone on, and this is the game that I had on because I want to see the division rival with the Chargers, or division foe. Justin Herbert looked great. I think he's back. I don't think it's going to be. It didn't look like he was hurting as much this game as in the last. He's looking better. Finally, I've been calling for Austin Eckler, asking you guys, where the hell is Austin Eckler this year? Finally, he shows up. But I told you, Dameon Pierce was a bad running back. And they finally let him take all the carries. He did great. He made all the moves himself. But you're up 27-7 at halftime, and you let a team like the Houston Texans sneak back in there. Like, that's the only issue I was going, what are the Chargers should have blown this team out. Like, they should have never allowed this, but it got close. You gotta admit, it got close. At the end of the third quarter, you were like, not again, Chargers. But then the Chargers finally like snapped out of it and got it back. But to allow a team like the Houston Texans, and they're better than what we thought, right? They were going to say they're a little bit better than they thought, but they still are 0-3-1. They're still the only winless team in the league, and you allowed them to sneak back in the second half. And that's the only thing I have about the Chargers. But other than that, it's great to see Austin Eckler back into it, because at one point he was giving out more jerseys than fantasy points.
Yeah, couple quick notes from this game. Jamari Sawyer fills in for Rashawn Slater, does an outstanding job. And then on the Texans side of the football, Brandon Cooks is going to be one of those receivers where we're going to look at his career numbers at the end and we're going to go, this guy put up 11,000 yards in this league and 60-plus touchdowns and 1,000 receptions, and nobody will say he's a Hall of Fame receiver. Like, because he never did it for one team, but he just does it every year, where it's like 1,000 yards and 90 catches and a couple, he's just stacking up great numbers. But
he's been traded multiple times for first-round pick.
Yeah. First-round picks. And even more for the Chargers offensively. It's kind of crazy, because we're looking back at the season so far and we're like, damn, the Chargers offensive line's banged up. Herbert's getting hit. And the Chargers offense has not been the same as it was last year. The Chargers lead the league in passing yards, and the Chargers have given up the least amount of sacks this year. So I'm just hoping it's up from here. I'm looking at the team, and there's a lot left on the field, and we still have one of the best offenses in the league while fucking up a lot. So let's clean it up. Let's get it right, and we're gonna be a top 5 offense consistently.
Yep. And we'll see you on Friday on Nuts and Bolts to talk about the Chargers. And subscribe. Let's move on to Atlanta. 23-20 over the Browns. And yet Kyle Pitts is still MIA from this offense. I got offered a trade this morning in fantasy football, Joe Mixon, and they offered me James Conner and Kyle Pitts. And I was like, that ain't happening. I'm not taking these two classic, disappearing acts from their offenses for Joe Mixon, even though it's been a rough start for him. My takeaway from this game was that I feel like as much as Kevin Stefanski does to put this team over the top, there's been a couple of moments this year where I'm like, you should be 4-0 if you made a couple of different coaching decisions for your teams in games. So Browns it's rough. They're beat up. Hard to go on the road and win in the NFL, but I just looked at it and it's like every week I talk about positive things for Kevin Stefanski and how good of a coach he is. And this week I left going, all right, now the Jets game kind of gave you an excuse for that one, a pass. But in this one, some stuff happened towards the end of this football game where I was like, I don't know. You should have won this. Coaching should have been the edge in this one.
Yes, this game kind of went how I thought it was going to go. And basically the definition of both these teams for me. The Falcons are going to be a team that all year will be back and forth, in and out of the win column. And they're going to be able to beat teams like this where they can kind of just turn it on at the end of the game, go NASCAR, speed things up. And the other team, obviously, their strength is the O-line and the running game. It's harder to keep up. And for the Browns, I think the Browns are going to be a team that's in every game as well, similar to the Falcons. But instead of being a team that's going to want to speed it up at the end of games, they're going to win those games if they're able to slow down at the end of the games, pound the rock, and play good defense. This was a good game between these two. It came down to game-winning field goal. It's a good sign for me because I think the Chargers can put up more than 23 points than the Browns. And Jacoby is good enough to win games, but not good enough to go out there and put up a ton of points just because it's not easy to do in the league these days when you're a super run-heavy offense. You need that really good defense to win these games. So both teams kind of showed what I've seen from them all year and where I think they're going to go the rest of the year. A team that's going to medal around 500 and compete in games against average teams when they play each other.
Harrison just said in the chat, and I'm with you, Harrison, it's time for the Falcons to make a change at quarterback. Marcus Mariota's not doing anything special for you. He's not helping you win games, and he's not like lighting it up out there where he's not a game changer or a game manager. Get him out of there. Bring your rookie in. Let him do his thing. You already now with the Cordell Patterson injury, you have your two rookie running backs you're actually going to let them run the ball. I'm excited to see both of them because both of them looked good when they had their shot in this game. Kyle Pitts, I just traded him because I had some guy, I don't know what he was on. Maybe he was drunk last night, but he sent me, he goes, I'll take Kyle Pitts from you and I'll give you David Njoku. And I was like, done. I'll take it right now because he's been getting those targets and you saw what he did in this game. But can we give some damn respect to the Falcons cornerback A.J. Terrell, who shut down Amari Cooper in this game? And I don't think he's getting enough respect on that defense over there. But I don't know. I'm glad Cleveland lost because I'm against Cleveland this year. So I'm glad they lost to the what do they call the Falcons? I can't even remember their name. That's how bad they are.
The Dirty Birds.
Yeah. So a couple things from this. When it was time to run the football, they committed to that. Arthur Smith was just like, we're going to run the ball. I think he ran the ball like 15 times in a row at one point. The reason, Joe, that I would say that you don't go to that next spot if you're Arthur Smith is because you're hoping that you're going to be able to get a longer leash into next year, right? Because Arthur Smith he's a good football coach. Look at what he's done the last 2 years with the amount of talent that he's had there and the poor offensive line play. He got 7 wins. He's now 2-2. Like, he's a good coach. He just needs time for this all to come together to really see what he can do. So I don't think you pivot away from Mariota. who's eventually he's going to get injured the way that he's playing football. You just can't keep running around the way he's running around and stay healthy with that kind of a frame. The adjustment this week, the reason more people aren't giving Terrell props, Joe, is because he was getting worked over the first few weeks in the league. But they watched the tape. All the drag routes coming off the play action, they took those away. All the across the field stuff, they made him work vertically. And if you want to beat Jacoby Brissett, make that man start having to beat you vertically because he's not going to do it. And it was such a good game plan that everything coming laterally on the field was shut down. And then they started having to work Amari up the sideline. That's not a good play. I think they hit Donovan Peoples-Jones once. They did a nice job there in the adjustment. Yes, Mike.
I'm just making sure JC and Staley see what you're saying here. You know.
Yeah. They did a fantastic job changing that up. Okay, right here. It is time that we all just take a bow to that ginger, beautiful man for the Dallas Cowboys. Cooper Rush moves to 3-0, 25-10 for the Dallas Cowboys. Joe had to mute his microphone because he's about to just let out a tirade of curse words that the Cowboys get another win, 3-0. And this is my biggest takeaway was that after the injury, Jerry Jones got to a microphone. He's like, well, Dak is a super fast healer. It could be 48 hours for a broken thumb. We have no idea what it is. 3 wins later, he's like, well, Dak might want to take the entire season off. Who knows? It's a good time to go down to the Amalfi Coast and go to Italy and see what's going on. He is now saying, Dak, take as much time as you want because Cooper Rush is fine and the offense looks good. And Jerry doesn't care how they win games. He just wants to win football games. No turnovers. Cooper Rush, this is not sustainable. It's not. Like, it's a certain point, teams are going to catch up to this. But if the defense is keeping teams under 13 points routinely, they can win football games like this. And they should continue to be one of the better teams in football when they get Dak Prescott back. That angers me to no end.
Yeah, they look similar to last year, but if the defense was even better. The defense was like damn near elite. And so far this year, they have been elite. Now the Washington Commanders stink. I mean, let's just be honest. They are bad. So we got to see more from this Dallas team. But man, does it put a smile on my face knowing that without Michael Gallup for most of the year, who is back and looks okay, without Dak Prescott for most of these games, for all the wins so far without Dak Prescott, that the Dallas Cowboys have a opposite record of the Las Vegas Raiders. 3-1. The Raiders are 1-3. Are you freaking kidding me? Is it Christmas already?
All right, first of all, you guys need to shut up. Both of you guys need to shut up and stop bragging about the Dallas Cowboys. This team sucks. This team is garbage, and somehow they're finding ways to win. Their defensive line is – look at their schedule. Look at it. They lost to the Buccaneers, right? Then they beat the Bengals, the Giants, and the Commanders. 3 shitty-ass teams that they beat. And we're crowning. You want to crown them? Crown the damn asses. The Dallas Cowboys are not a great team, and for some reason, we're going to put them up there like they're the best team. Now, they're probably going to go out there, and they have a great shot against the Rams because the Rams have taken this year off and decided, hey, we're not going to block anybody. Sean McVay is like, hey, I already won my Super Bowl. I don't need to be creative. But then the week after that, they're going to get their ass kicked by the Eagles. They're going to get their ass kicked by the Lions. It's coming up, and they're going to get exposed. And at the end of the year, the Dallas Cowboys will be back to where they are at the bottom and losing playoff games. But, hey, Cowboy fans, we them boys, keep saying that. But your team ain't going nowhere. You're out of – when Dak comes back, you're back to mediocrity.
Joe, you're saying that the Cowboys are a benefit of a weak schedule. Are the Raiders non-benefit of a weak schedule? They've had a way weaker schedule.
No, Raiders have had a hard schedule.
3 of 4 teams that are above 500 right now. I don't think
we're not talking about the Raiders right now. We're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. We're talking about the NFC East. The one that you're saying is the best division in the league now is the NFC East. Is that what you're saying?
All right. I'll wait until we talk about the Raiders then.
All right, let's. I'm going to end this.
Trayvon Diggs, like people are serving up interceptions to him for no damn reason, and then we're like, "Oh, Trayvon Diggs."
He's playing great right now, actually.
He is actually playing a lot better.
It's a big part of their success right now.
Yeah, he's limiting the amount of Yeah. Anyways, let me just end it on this note. I think the only reason, not the only reason, but one of the reasons Ron Rivera makes it through this year is because he's one of the few minority coaches in the NFL, and Daniel Snyder cannot afford that look right now to fire a minority coach in the NFL. This guy's already potentially being forced out by the other owners are trying to get together and have some sort of vote to force him to sell the team, and it would just be a terrible look. But otherwise, there's nothing positive that's going on for the Commanders right now. Not offensively, not defensively. They're going through quarterback carousel to where, if we're being honest, Taylor Heineke's looked the best of all the quarterbacks that have been there since he's been there. So let's just bring on Heinicke season and stop playing around with everybody.
No, I would say freaking Alex Smith at this point. But yeah, they are bad. They have some young pieces, but it's time, I think, to start that thing over. Let's start from fresh here.
You don't fire Puerto Ricans; they quit, Tony. Look, I'm tired of the Cowboy fan love and stuff like that. They're not a good team. At the end of the year, hey, you know what? At this point, I want the Cowboys to go 16-1. Let them go 16-1, because when they actually get to the playoffs and they play a good team, it's over. And we can laugh even harder and be like, you won all those regular season games and it got you where? Nowhere.
Joe, I hate the Cowboys and I hate the Raiders. If you guys go on a 3-game winning streak with Jared Stidham, I will sit here and say nice things about what you guys are able to do with a backup quarterback. That is all I am getting at. I want the Cowboys to lose too, because I picked the Eagles to win this division. Eagles go to 4-0, 29-21 over the Jaguars. I actually think this game told us a lot about both teams. In bad weather, the Jaguars were able to hang in there and compete with, I think, one of the best all-around teams in football. Offensively, I think the Eagles are nearing the top in the offensive category. And the defense is absolutely, they're just outrageously at every level have players, playmakers, veteran leadership. They're playing really well. They got a lot of speed on special teams too. My takeaway on this one was that I finally got one right. I made a lot of preseason predictions, and the Eagles are the only ones so far who have my back. They're flying. Go Eagles. Go F yourselves.
That was an elite transition, by the way, Tony. But yeah, the Eagles are showing out. I picked the Eagles to win the division as well. So let's not sit here and pretend like Mike's some kind of secret Cowboys fan or something.
You are.
I picked the Eagles to win the division, and I'm pretty pumped to see that this team is living up to what we thought they could be with all the additions. They arguably had the best offseason this last year. Lots of big names move. When you look at all of them, they kind of stack up on defense. Then they bring A.J. Brown in on the draft. It's kind of like a little cherry on top, trading for cornerbacks right before the season's about to start because they still getting hungrier. Nick Sirianni was on the Pat McAfee show today, and he said that the reason that this Eagles team is succeeding is because this Eagles team is full of dogs. And it's not underdogs, what the Eagles won the Super Bowl off of last time. It's alpha dogs. Like Jalen Hurts, the locker room, it all looks amazing. The Eagles are playing like the best team in the NFC right now. And for the Jaguars, this was still a good game for the Jaguars, like you said, because they, for one, had a lead on the Eagles. And then some fumbles. Maybe talk about inexperience. These guys playing in a rain game. How often do the Jacksonville Jaguars play in a game where it is pouring rain like that? And the Eagles get back, and obviously the Eagles end up winning the game. But the Jaguars hung in tough with the Eagles. In my opinion, the team that's playing at the highest level in the NFC right now. Very impressive for both teams. And if the Jaguars can go and stomp out the Texans, there's serious conversation that the Jaguars could win the division. I will say it again.
Look, they jumped out to that big lead, 14-0, and I was like, dang, Jacksonville might be for real. Maybe Doug Peterson knows something about the Eagles that we don't know, being there. And then it came back to reality. And I don't know. Trevor Lawrence had one good week this week, but we're not going to question how good he is. If maybe he's not the franchise quarterback that we all thought he was going to be. Maybe he's just an average NFL quarterback. I mean, it is a rain game, but the dude keeps fumbling. He needs to hold on to the damn ball. And Travis Etienne, like, are we serious? Like, the only thing holding this Jacksonville team together is something that I didn't think they had was a defense. And this offense is supposed to be full of weapons, and we're not seeing it. I want to see more from the Jacksonville offense before I start saying we're going to win. They're going to win the division. They're going to win the division, Mike. Come on. But the Eagles, I'll crown the Eagles right now. I'll crown the Eagles because they're looking good. But there's only one thing that holds me back from the Eagles, and that's that. And it happens to every team. Right now, they're 100% healthy, and I'm not wishing anything upon them. But I want to see their depth when come later on in the season when they start having these injuries, and what happens, because injuries happen and it always happens. But can the Eagles withstand those injuries later on in the season when it happens?
They can and they will. I want to push back on the Trevor Lawrence situation. He played pretty good week 1. Then he played good in the 24-0 win in week 2. He played turnover-free football, if I remember correctly, against the Chargers. So that's 3 weeks in a row where he played really good. Then he gets into a weather with bad game against one of the top 3 defenses in the league. I'd have 49ers, Eagles, and Cowboys. Like, those 3 defenses are 3 defenses I don't want to play on any level, running or passing. So I still think he's trending in a very positive direction, especially when you look at the other QBs from that draft. He's far away ahead of them. And last year, it was a lot more about the lack of guidance that he had, the lack of talent around him. You bring back James Robinson. You bring back Etienne, although he's not being used and he's not been very effective. But you bring in Christian Kirk, somebody that's there that's good for easy completions. They're doing the right things. Evan Ingram, big target, friendly. Jags are headed in the right direction. And the AFC South, if you look at it, really is theirs to take over for a stretch. They're the one team where you're like, oh, we know they have a quarterback. We know that they are at least have somebody they can invest in. Colts don't have that. Titans, we're not sure because they're not putting Malik Willis on the field. And the Texans with Davis Mills. I would much rather be. And Mike offered me one of his 32-team dynasty whatevers. Right away, Mike, what did I say? Are the Jaguars available? Because this is a team that is trending on the rise defensively, head coaching, and offensively. Everything's trending right for the Jaguars.
I'm with you. Trevor Lawrence is playing really good this year. I don't know if we're watching the same games or not. He's on track for like a 4,200-yard, 30-touchdown, 10 interception season, which is elite in the NFL.
We wouldn't have a show if you guys didn't agree with me. If you guys didn't not agree with me, so yeah. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, well, I think we can all agree on this. Baker Mayfield time as a starting quarterback is done. It is. It might not be done because they don't want to put in PJ Walker, but it is done. I think it was Shannon was saying his on Undisputed. I have that playing in the background while I get the kids ready in the morning. I think I heard him say his QBR for the season is 13. Like, that is horrible. That's on a scale to 100 where the average is like 54. He's at 13. Every time I watch the Panthers, I immediately just look away or change it because it's just frustrating. Like, how do you have a very talented players on the field and they don't look effective? It looks bad. Balls are getting batted like crazy. I feel bad. We got Harrison, who's clearly a fan, comes in every week to support them. It's not good. The Matt Rule situation is not good. I wasn't sure he was going to make it to the parking lot, still employed by the team. It's bad all around.
Yeah, and unlike Trevor Lawrence, whose QBR is above the average that Tony just mentioned, Baker Mayfield is struggling, man, and it just goes to show how hard it is to just go somewhere, try and learn the offense, and execute it on short notice like that. The Panthers right now are making the Browns look really, really smart, just getting out of that Baker situation and moving on forward with something else. Even though it is Deshaun Watson, that's its own mess. But they knew that Baker Mayfield, he might be holding this offense back a little bit. And we've talked about it a few times. Jacoby Brissett in Cleveland is playing at a similar level to Baker Mayfield was playing in Cleveland over the last couple of years. So the Panthers are going to piss me off this year. I still can feel it. They're going to win random games. But it's not going to be off the back of Baker. It's going to be off the back of that defense. Christian McCaffrey making some big plays. And I knew the Cardinals were going to win this game, or I had a feeling the Cardinals were going to win this game just simply because I didn't believe in the Panthers' offense too much. And Christian McCaffrey was dealing with the injury last week. And if they don't have Christian McCaffrey, they're going to win whatever. They're not going to win anything.
The Cardinals' defense has been horrible. They couldn't do anything.
They've been all right. They've been horrible.
They've been horrible. Harrison, plug your ears for a little bit. Like Tony was saying, Baker Mayfield has barely completed a little bit over 50% of his passes. They're the only team in the league to not have one game with 300 yards of total offense. The only team in the league in a offensive ran league now, right? This is all offense. We've gone more offense than anything else. You can't put up 300 total yards in one game. One game with the weapons that you have with Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore, like, come on. Come on. With a guy like Cooper Rush leading an offense in Dallas and going 3-0, and you have Baker Mayfield, the number one pick in the draft a couple years ago. Like, Carolina, I don't know. They already have the issues we talked about last week with DJ Moore coming out and basically fronting off Matt Rule. The locker room issues are real. They need to just cut the ties now. I was trying to look at when the bye week is for Carolina. It's not till like week 13. You can't wait till your bye week to get rid of Matt Rule. You got to do it now. You're losing to a team like Arizona, which you could talk about, oh, Arizona beat the Raiders. Yeah, but that was bullshit. The Raiders beat themselves in that game. Both these coaches won't make it till the end of the year. And this was a winnable game for Carolina. This was a winnable game, like Tony was saying. You should have put up more than 16 points on this defense. And you're fighting for your life and you're fighting for your job, and this is the effort that you come out against one of a crappy team, and it's you go, I know because they beat the Raiders, whatever. But Arizona's not a damn good team. They're not a good team, no matter what you say. Arizona's a horrible team, and you should have beat them. And Matt Rule should lose his job right now.
If they got a full offseason with a functioning QB, I'm telling you, one of these teams is going to end up, like a Panther-style team, is going to end up with a Ryan Tannehill. They're going to end up with a retread for a team that thinks they have their guy. The Panthers are going to end up with a Jimmy G. One of these guys are going to sign with the Panthers, and the Panthers will win 3 or 4 more games. Harrison, you put hot take Sean Payton. I don't think Sean Payton's coming out of retirement to come into this situation. Sean Payton is going to look around. He's going to pick the best place that is going to have a quarterback that will be able to make him continue to look like the genius he pats himself on the back.
Harrison, this comment right here, you sound like a Bronco fan.
I have a question.
Panther country, let's ride.
Joe, if the Arizona Cardinals beat the Eagles this week, will you change your tune?
They're not
going to talk about the Cardinals like they're some pushover team. They made the playoffs last year with a similar roster, and they haven't had
a shitty team, Mike.
They're not a shitty team. They're not the best team in the league, but they are still in the mix for the wild card this year. 100%.
What's up, Max and Juan? They're a shitty team, and the only thing people have on them is, oh, they beat the Raiders,
and they beat the Panthers now.
Oh my God!
You just said 2 seconds ago the Panthers should have walked on them. That this should have been an easy win. And now the Panthers aren't a win for the Cardinals.
Yeah, he did say that he thinks Kingsbury will be out of a job. I don't think that's the case. I think they gave him too much money, and I think he'll still be there unless it fully collapses on them in the second half. Juan is here. He just joined up. Hopefully it's Max. I want it to be the better half of that podcast.
What's up, Max?
But I believe that it is Juan. Raiders get their first win of the season. They beat the Broncos 32-23. My biggest takeaway from this game is, why did it take Josh McDaniels so long to realize that Josh Jacobs had been playing well all year? Why did it take almost 13 and a half quarters for him to realize, to be like, oh shit, he's getting like 5 yards a carry. It's going to help out our offensive line, which is not very good. And it's going to help out Derek Carr. Like, that was my takeaway from this, was I wanted him to never figure it out, to be honest with you. And I hope they let Josh Jacobs go. I hope you guys let Josh. I really, really want him to be gone. because he's a fun football player to root for. I'm not going to root for him while he's a Raider. I hope he's gone.
Yeah, I think if Austin Eckler is willing to take a pay cut, the Chargers might give Josh Jacobs a call. They like running their second-string running backs. But, yeah, Josh Jacobs, underrated. That's my takeaway. We don't talk about him enough being a beast. Devontae Adams just proves my point over and over and over again that if you feed Devontae Adams, even against a corner who played amazing on him, it's still going to find success eventually because that guy is just so good. They can't cover. No one can cover him. That's how. And the third thing is screw the game. Both teams underperforming. Both teams aren't really living up to expectations for the offseason they had. Let's talk about the fans in the crowd because Raiders fans love to talk about fans in the crowd. And I saw some screenshots. I saw some screen grabs. 75, 80% Broncos fans in Vegas, in Allegiant Stadium. I don't want to hear nothing about SoFi for the Rams or the Chargers ever again from a Raiders fan. That's the takeaway, the biggest takeaway from this game. Because both teams, who cares about those two teams?
First of all, let me address the fan situation, Mike. If you're not a Raider fan and you're not selling your tickets in Las Vegas, you're an idiot. Because if you look at the price, who has the most expensive tickets in the NFL right now? The Las Vegas Raiders, because they're the show that everybody wants to go see. Everybody wants to go to Vegas. You're selling tickets that you bought for $50 to $100 for $800 a pop. And they're selling this out. This ain't damn SoFi where people are putting tickets up for $30 and nobody's buying them. Nobody's buying tickets to go there. Las Vegas was full of Bronco fans because Raider fans are smart, what do they call them, entrepreneurs, because they're making their money with these tickets, and they're smart as fuck because they knew the Broncos had no chance against the Raiders. They knew the Raiders didn't need the Raider Nation there to back them up. They knew the Raiders own the damn Broncos. This is 7 out of the last 8 times the Broncos and the Raiders have met. The Raiders have spanked their asses and got them on out of there. The only time they lost is because John Gruden went for 2 at the end of the game instead of tying the game, going to overtime and winning that one. So they didn't need them. They knew the Raiders were going to go in there and take care of business. So they go, hey, we're going to make our money. Mike, pull the pictures up. Show you how full that stadium was, no matter who the fans are in that stadium. And then pull the pictures up of SoFi Stadium when the Jacksonville Jaguars came to town. Well, a team that you said that's going to win a division versus the team that you said was going to win a division, the Chargers and the Jacksonville Jaguars, and show me the stadium full or half full when you couldn't even sell $30 tickets to SoFi Stadium. Anyways, in this game, Russell Wilson and the Broncos came alive a little bit. They didn't. The Raiders controlled this whole game, and then we're going to talk about how Josh Jacobs came alive. And here's my theory on it as a Raider fan. Josh Daniels is finally getting to the opportunity where he is trusting this offensive line. There was so much talk about it in the offseason where we don't trust the offensive line. The offensive line for the Raiders is horrible. Offensive line is bad. They were playing Russian roulette with the Raiders offensive line in the week 1. They played it again in week 2. Finally, they're starting to get their 5 guys in there. Their 5 set guys in there. And now when he's finally running the ball, he's finally starting to trust them a little bit. And he's like, hey, I think he was thinking like, hey, I got all these wide receivers. I'm just going to pass the damn ball until our offensive line is set because I don't trust them. But now he's starting to trust everybody on that. He's starting to find out the personnel. These guys didn't play in the preseason. It's not an excuse. It's just the way that with the new coach and the new system, you should have played in the preseason. They didn't. Now they're gelling. They're finally coming together. Devontae Adams is actually giving advice of how to run. They were running the shell defense against the Raiders, and he's telling them how to beat that run, how to beat the shell defense. It's only a matter of time until the Raiders came together. They were 0-3 team, but they were one of the best 0-3 teams you've ever seen. Just wait until they go on their run.
My God. You sound like a Chargers fan, first of all. You don't think that ticket prices don't skyrocket when the Raiders come to town on week 1 or week 18 of a season? Or week 4?
Mike, you know I have Charger season tickets. You know I do. You know I have Charger season tickets. I'm not making shit off of them because the Chargers fans don't show up. I got to sell them to other people.
No. We're not comparing fan bases because the Chargers do not have the size fan base that the Raiders have at all. That's a known fact. That's not even a question. The question mark is y'all call yourselves a Raider nation. A nation. That means the entire country, right? I saw in Ohio for a preseason game that I went to, the Raiders sold that entire stadium out. but they're letting the Broncos invade in Allegiant. And they have the audacity to let that happen after years of talking shit to Rams and Chargers fans. I'm just saying, let's stop the shit talking because it can happen to any team that's playing in a city like Los Angeles or Las Vegas. Because all your excuses that you have for it, the same excuses I've been using for years, and you just swap them down like I'm not
Sunday. They sold a Sunday 1:00 game against Russell shitty ass Wilson for $700 a pop, and you're gonna hate on these fans for doing that when they can go the rest of the games.
And there are Chargers fans.
People paid for their season tickets with one shitty game.
There are Chargers fans who sell their tickets to the Raiders game for 3 times the price that they paid for them. Are you blaming those fans for selling their tickets? It's the exact same
First
thing.
of all, there is no Charger fans that own season tickets. Stop that.
Tony, are you a Chargers fan?
Joe, listen, all this shit that you talked about, the Chargers fans and them selling tickets and whatever else, it's the same thing that's going on. It doesn't matter. The Raiders fans do have more fans. They moved to Vegas. It is not going – we're going to see more and more of this stuff happen, especially with Raiders over time because they will not have a big enough fan base in Vegas. And at some point, this franchise will hit a plateau, will descend whenever they decide and realize Derek Carr is not that guy.
Well, I just want the truth to come out. I want the actual facts of the situation to come out. The real reason Raiders fans didn't show up to that game is not because they can sell their tickets for higher prices. The real reason they didn't show up is because the Raiders are 0-3 and the Raiders fan base is full of fair weather fans. And we all know that. That's real. Cowboys, Raiders, those two fan bases don't show up when their team's playing bad. When their team's playing great, they're the loudest at everything.
This is not an argument about whether or not they take over. It is a discussion about the fact that everything all Raiders fans say to Chargers fans, they are now doing it. They are now being opportunistic as opposed to going and supporting their 0-3 team. They seized an opportunity to put cash in their pockets when their team really needed them to fill up the stadium. And that's the kind of stuff that Chargers fans take a lot of heat for, is not being there to support their team or not even necessarily having enough fans to support their team.
Look, the Raider fans were basically sending a message to the Raider organization.
Oh wow!
Fix your shit, get it done, because the Raider fans aren't gonna sit here and go through another fucking bullshit season. We're used to losing, but in Las Vegas, we don't fucking lose. We're the Raiders. We're the Las Vegas Raiders, and we never had to lose a season in Las Vegas. And we're gonna take your shit, Josh McDaniels, fix it, or else we're gonna fix it for you. So when Mark Davis and the rest of the Raiders noticed, the Raiders players have noticed. They went out there and they talked about it. They said, hey, we didn't like going out there and seeing the damn orange. We didn't like not being in the Raider Nation. Well, fix your shit, and you finally did, and it's going to put them back on the winning track, especially when they go into Kansas City next week, and I'm Patrick Mahomes.
At least you're telling the truth now. It doesn't have nothing to do with freaking ticket prices.
Yeah,
because he did think this year.
He did pivot hard in that conversation.
But why wouldn't you sell your tickets? You want to know why I don't go to a Raider game? Because I'm not putting fucking $800 down. I'm not doing it.
Well, last year, didn't the Broncos play the Raiders in Las Vegas, and the stadium was sold out with Raiders fans when the Raiders were, kind of in a.
But you got to remember, last year was the first full true season Allegiant Stadium was open to fans.
Actually, let's not even just talk about last year. In the history of the Raiders in Oakland, have they ever had a stadium look like that?
Look, let's just say you don't go to Oakland. You never went to Oakland wearing stuff like that. If Oakland Stadium would have never looked like that, because first of all those Bronco fans would have got their ass kicked walking into the stadium, or they would have had shit turned on them when they went into a porta potty. You would have never seen opposing fans like that in Oakland.
I went to Oakland in a Hines Ward jersey, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a little scared, and I was not upset when the Steelers didn't win the game. I'll just put it like that. I wasn't mad.
Mike, I don't know about Tony, but Mike, that I've been calling out since the Raiders moved to Las Vegas. I've been telling you that there's a different fan base. It's not the same Raider Nation fan base that we've been seeing. It's a softer fan base. It's a more casual fan base than normal because, hey, when you used to go anywhere, you used to hear Raiders, and now you go to the game and people are just wearing new Max Crosby jerseys, and you're like, come on, you're not a real Raider fan. You just did it because they moved to Vegas. And we're experiencing that fan bandwagon shit too since they moved to Vegas. This losing season, and it's funny, this not losing season, but this 1-3 start right here, the start of the losing, getting back on track. We're finally getting rid of some of these bullshit fans that weren't Raider fans to begin with. That only hopped on the train and the last couple of years since they moved to Vegas. And the real fans are like, hey, we've been here before. You don't remember? We've been losing. We've been a losing franchise. We've seen worse than 1-3. So I'm just glad we're finally getting rid of some of these fake ass fans.
Good.
I hope Broncos fans instead. Woo.
Yeah, I hope you lose them all. And I'm not cheering for the Chiefs on Monday night, but it's not. I don't think it's going to be super pretty. Patriots, Packers, from this game, my takeaway was that Bill Belichick is a genius, a magician. I don't know what was going on in the game for it to be that close. I do realize that, yes, Aaron Rodgers is still building chemistry and trust and all that stuff, but for it to be an overtime game with Billy Zappi playing the majority of 5 quarters of football, it's pretty fantastic to me. Defensively, the team is still solid as can be. If they can figure out things offensively, this can still be like an 8-win football team with or without Mac Jones, 8-9 wins. It's impressive. I really don't understand it. And it makes me more upset when I see some of the coaching around the rest of the league where it's like, wait, you have your starters, you have all your starters, and you're losing to these teams, and this guy's out here in the middle of a rebuild with a rookie third-string practice squad quarterback from Western Kentucky. Everybody needs to step their game up a little bit.
Yeah, this is one of the more impressive parts of the weekend was the Patriots staying in this game with the Green Bay Packers the way they did. Fortunate to overtime, this is my lock. Green Bay winning was my lock, and it almost backfired on me severely. If I was in any survival pools, I'd be screwed. But if you're a young defensive back, and maybe not the whole NFL believes in you, but you believe in yourself to have a bunch of talent, and you just need to get the fine details down, go to New England, bro, because Jonathan Jones and Jack Jones look amazing. They look like they're going to be the next guys in New England. And at that point, when you get 4 in a row, 5 in a row, however many DBs Bill Belichick has done this with, it's not a coincidence anymore. Bill Belichick is a defensive mastermind.
Yeah, he has been since he's been with Parcells.
Yeah.
I take full responsibility for this game and how the Packers came out and played like crap because I have been bad at picking games this year. And I, like Mike said, I took the Packers in a survivor pool, and boy, was I sweating it. I was like, God damn. It was horrible. But Patriots, Tony, I told you, the Patriots played good, but I don't know if that's good for the Patriots or bad for the Packers because the Packers haven't looked like the Packers of the past. Yeah. And the Patriots, I already told you, is we've already talked about being one of the worst teams in the league. Maybe they're turning it. Maybe this is Zappy season. I don't know. When I put it in the, you said you could back it, Tony. You said you could back Zappy season with me. There's a reason they drafted him, right? I don't know. We liked what Mac Jones did last year, but something's in the back of Bill Belichick's head, and he's questioning if Mac Jones is really a guy. So he's going to test out this, and when Mac Jones is out, and he's going back to running the damn ball, and it's good because now they're trusting both running backs in Harris and Stevenson, and I like both of them. I love both of them, and I would love to have either one of them on a starting team somewhere by themselves. But this team, it just, I don't know. I can't trust the offensive play calling. But if you're gonna tell me that you're gonna run the ball with those two guys, I can back you a little bit more.
Yeah, there's a lot of young, interesting talent in this game. Like, I think Romeo Doubs continues to take steps forward. Christian Watson is getting more involved there. On the Patriots side, they got those 2 running backs, and they also drafted that kid Pierre Strong, who can really run and is dynamic, and maybe there's a way at which if they ever pick an offensive coordinator, they can figure it out and find a way to be getting him involved in the action too. I'll cheer for Billy Zappi because, again, I like to support backup quarterbacks. It's just fun for me to cheer for these players who have not a lot of opportunity for success, and they still figure it out. Chiefs, Bucks. This game was what I talked about in our prediction show, where it was a team that looks disconnected in the Buccaneers because of all the stuff that's going on. You're moving, your family's moving, you're worried, there's hurricanes, there's reports. It's just too much chaos to be dealing with. And then you have the Chiefs coming to town. Like, it just was – I don't think that this game will look the same as it will look if this were to be another Super Bowl matchup. And lastly, I'm a little confused about when people go, oh, they're getting payback for the Super Bowl. There is not a number of wins that you could get that will replace the fact that Tom Brady gets to, and all those other Buccaneers get to wear a Super Bowl ring. I don't care how much Patrick Mahomes is paying him back for that loss in the Super Bowl. It doesn't make sense. Because you actually get a piece of hardware you can wear for the rest of your life to remind them. You think they're going to go, yeah, well, we got you back week 4 of 2023. Stop it. I don't want to hear it. It's dumb. Announcers, stop that conversation.
Yeah, and I don't think Tom Brady is over here like, yeah, the Giants beat me twice, but I beat them 6 times in the regular season, so that overweighs it. I don't have 2 rings, but it's okay because I beat them a bunch of times in the regular season. I don't think that's his thought process anytime he's going against the New York Giants in a football game. But yeah, it's tough to watch these Chiefs games, especially when I know they're playing a good defense and they do this to a very good defense. Yes, they're split up because of the hurricane, and that definitely has an effect on this game. But when you watch that game, and I watched that game back the second time, I just realized that, again, as I'm constantly reminded, how freaking good number 15 unfortunately is.
Overrated.
When he is at like a flat line level, he's the best quarterback in the league. And then when he plays like he did against Tampa Bay Buccaneers this last weekend, it's unstoppable. Sometimes he doesn't play at that level, but when he does, I got to just throw my hands up and say, well, if he's doing that, what do you do to stop him?
All right. So every year this happens, or the last couple of years, this has happened to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it's always happened early in the season, and it's always happened on prime time. And you know what that is? They have a game where they don't run the damn ball, and they have 5 or 6 carries. They had 6 carries in this game. They gave up on the run too quick. I know Kansas City went out there and got up early on you, but you gave up on the run too quick. And you guys know that, and we've been talking about it, and that's kind of been the theme of this week, is teams have gone back to running the damn ball, setting up the run, running the ball to set up the pass, and it's been a trend for Tampa Bay. Go back and look at their last couple of years. I think it was against the Bears. What was it, last year or the year before, where they only ran the ball a couple times and they got beat by Nick Foles, and then last year they did the same thing against the Rams early in the season. But they only ran, and then they go back and they'll correct themselves. So if you have Leonard Fournette or White in your fantasy league, get ready because they're going to start handing the damn ball off because they're not going to have another one. I know that they're having offensive line issues, but they're going to correct themselves. They're too good of a team to correct themselves. Now, Tony, I know that you can't go back, and it sucks that somebody has a championship ring, but you got to know that Kansas City was like, hey, we want to know that we can beat these guys, and we want to put a message that we are better than them now, but it's not going to change the fact you already lost the damn Super Bowl. Like you said, you're not going to get they're not going to give you a week 4 championship ring. But part of them is like, all right, now we got over that hump. Now we know if we meet them again, we got them. I don't know. A little revenge always goes in the back of your head. It's like when Mike gets his butt kicked in flag football. He wants to go out there the next week, even though he gets his butt kicked again. But I don't know. Travis Kelce is on a whole nother level, guys. They know that Travis Kelce is this offense, and he's getting double teamed and triple teamed, and he's still, like in this game, he's still dominating. And I was watching this game, and I was like, I thought Tampa Bay's defense was a little bit better than this, and they just made Tampa Bay's defense look like crap. And I I don't know. That's part of me is I just think Tampa Bay will get back on track. They just went away from what they're used to, and they ran into a good team.
Yeah, they ran into a good team, and there's just too much chaos going on for the Buccaneers right now. Again, the Bucs are going to be fine. They're still going to win 11 games, and they'll still be a tough out in any playoff scenario because they have Tom Brady. Jimmy G. This is the last game. I got to go pick up my kids. I got about 5 minutes.
You forgot about one. You forgot about one game before we get to that one. The Bills and the Ravens.
Oh, I did skip Bills Ravens. I did.
Which I just want to say, you guys know, and the Ravens Ravens got screwed over in this game. It was a bad roughing the passer on Josh Allen that left the Bills alive. And just to let you guys know, in the 2 losses that the Ravens have had this year, they're 2-2 this year. They've only trailed by 18 seconds.
It's a lot
18
like
seconds of those losses.
It's a lot like the Chargers. The Chargers have led for out of the 12 quarters we played, 11 and a half of them. You can't blow the leads at the end of the game. This hurt me because when I saw that score, 20-0 Ravens, I was like, damn.
No, they had them.
I just want to say this. Everybody was coming to the aid of the analytic, whatever, to go for it. 2 things bother me about it. One, you don't have Lamar Jackson drop back in the pocket like that. It's just not what you do. That's not using him to the best of his ability. It's actually kind of making him the weakest part of his game and highlighting it in that situation, especially when there's not a lot of room for improvisation in that moment because the field is shrunk so much. So he's got to throw it into an even tighter window. I don't love that at all. But also just not kicking the field goal. We saw him go for 2 a couple times last year that didn't work out because the analytics said we're going to go for these plays at the end of games. It just can't continue to be like that where you're costing your team crucial wins or opportunities at wins in these games. If you said that you believed in your defense, why not give your defense a 3-point lead? Because he goes, oh, well, the worst thing that could have happened was we were going to make him drive 96 yards down the field or whatever it was. No, the worst thing that could happen is that you throw an interception and now they get the football out on the 20-yard line and you don't have the pressure of them standing, in the shadow of their own end zone. So there were many things that could have gone wrong, and they did go wrong, and now you drove down, and now you only need a field goal to lose a football game. I just don't like the rationale behind it. I don't like everybody going, oh, analytics. Stop hiding behind these numbers because you keep losing games hiding behind these numbers, and I'm not seeing enough positive wins coming out of these. Well, we checked the analytics, and it said to do this. It's dumb.
I think Josh Allen showed that they lost that game when they blew the 20-point lead because he did drive those 96 yards and then kick the field goal. I think whether they took the field goal or not there, he was going to go into the end zone if he had to.
Okay, so even if so, this idea, he's like, oh, well, it was going to be a 4-down game if we kicked the field goal. No, it's not. It's going to be a 4-down situation until they get into Tyler Bass field goal range, which is 48 to 50 yards. Then it's going to be a 3-down territory situation or whatever. But if you're playing with the idea that if we kick a field goal here, Josh Allen's going to drive the field and score a field goal or a touchdown on my defense, then you really don't have confidence in them.
Well, that's what I was doing.
That's when I argue with a lot, a lot of people, my dad mostly, will just shit on Brandon Staley. At least I can defend with Staley saying, looking across at his defense, we have the worst defense in the league possibly, or a bottom 5 defense in the league. It's how much faith do you have in your defense to keep Josh Allen out of the end zone in that situation. And apparently, even though John Harbaugh says in the microphone that he does, he watched what happened in Miami, and he probably doesn't have as much faith as he says.
He had absolutely zero faith. He had zero faith in his defense, and he was like, we got to get this first now to end the game. If I kick a field goal, we lose the game. If we don't make this, we lose the game. John Harbaugh knew he was losing the game if he didn't make that first down. And you could say whatever the hell you want about how I have faith in my defense, but you just saw your defense get tore up by Tua the week before, and it's not going to happen again. So he knew that he had to do it. There's no faith. That Baltimore defense did step up this week, but John Harbaugh had no faith in it.
And I do agree with you, Tony. It makes no sense not to run an RPO, a read option, some sort of something to let Lamar use his athletic ability at the very minimum to try and get into the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch that game very closely, but the second half, how do they score no points in the second half of the game?
Yeah. That's really what helped it, is when they blew that big lead they had.
Yeah. All right, Monday Night Football, the Jimmy G experience. Jimmy Garoppolo wins a game, but more like the Rams lost the game. Like the Rams and this idea that they're are just going to force feed Cooper Kupp until he breaks every single receiving record in a season. It is not good for winning football. Like it is, you paid $15 million to Allen Robinson. We say this every week. What's going on with this situation? That maybe Allen Robinson has lost a step and maybe he can't quite get open. But then wouldn't you still at least try to scheme something to him to put him in a one-on-one jump ball situation where we've seen like that be a little some of the opportunities he's getting are literally chase down. I've held the ball for 7 seconds. I have nowhere else to go. Cooper didn't come open because he's being guarded by 4 people. Higbee's on the sideline, so I'm just going to throw a jump ball in the back of the end zone to Allen Robinson. Like there needs to be the offensive line is bad. We're going to run out 2 tight ends. We're going to just run the football a bunch, play good defense, and we're going to try to win an ugly football game type of a situation, maybe some play action, boots, whatever it is. It just seems like Sean McVay is like, oh, this is my thing, and I know how it looks when it works really good, but it's not working really good. So you got to pivot, and there's no sense of a pivot from him at all. And the Rams are just heading in the wrong direction. This was good for me in my prediction because I need the 49ers to win some games. I said the 49ers are going to win the division, but not like this. It was just garbage.
And the non-existent run game of the Los Angeles Rams is hurting them a ton also because teams can just step back and worry about Cooper Kupp, and that's it. You don't have to really worry about slowing down the rest of the team. And Cooper Kupp's stat line might look great, but it's not going to put points on the board with just Cooper Kupp. You got to be able to have a complete offense. You got to be able to distract from Cooper Kupp. You got to be able to do other things when the team is focusing so heavily on stopping Cooper Kupp. Credit to this 49ers defense. They look phenomenal. They look like they could be the best defense in the league if they can stay healthy. Dre Greenlaw, linebacker next to Fred Warner, looks like he's up there. And if he keeps playing the way he's playing, they're going to be a crazy duo. And I don't know how the 49ers just keep producing linebackers like this year after year after year after year. They just keep bringing linebackers out of nowhere, putting them in the middle of their defense and making them elite. I was super excited for the 49ers this year because exactly what is happening. I knew that Shanahan was going to give Trey Lance all of the easy shit that he gives Jimmy Garoppolo, these slants that Debo takes to the house, these little out routes that George Kittle gets 12, 15 yards on. I knew that Trey Lance was going to get all of that same exact stuff that Jimmy Garoppolo is doing. And 49ers fans who are still on the Jimmy over Trey Lance talk, if you guys don't think Trey Lance can complete that pass to Debo Samuel, complete that pass to Brandon Ayuk, complete that slant route to George Kittle, then you're delusional. You would have had all of that and one of the most athletic quarterbacks in the league at the same time, and they would have been even better than they were in that game. And I still think that down the stretch, when teams can handle making tackles on Debo Samuel and George Kittle, the 49ers offense is going to struggle in the playoffs again.
Matthew Stafford, I know you're watching the show. Come here. Get close. Get close. How did throwing to one wide receiver work for you in Detroit? How did it work? Did it work out great for you? You went on all those Super Bowl runs because you were throwing it to one guy and one guy only? No. I understand Cooper Kupp is amazing and he can catch everything you throw to him. But spread the damn ball around. Spread it around. Get it in there. And somebody was asking about Allen Robinson earlier if they should trade for Allen Robinson. And I said, no, stay away from Allen Robinson just like Matthew Stafford is this season. And he goes, well, I think Allen Robinson's going to come around in the playoffs. I said, no, the Rams will bring back Odell Beckham Jr. and throw to him before they go to Allen Robinson again. Like, spread the ball around, get it going. They need this offensive line. Like, we talk about offensive lines. It's horrible to watch this offensive line. And never mind. I got a hot take, but it's not worth saying because you guys always hate on me. But is there a reason that Aaron Donald kind of wanted to retire this offseason? Because he's not looking like the Aaron Donald I'm used to seeing.
Not as hungry. And
that's probably what it is. Like, I just don't. I think the Rams, they were a hungry team, and we're finally seeing it where the Rams thought they could bring in new players each and every year, bring in these 4th or 5th round guys and be like, oh, we'll switch them in and out. But some of these role players, and you guys got one on the Chargers like Sebastian Joseph Day, when you lose these guys that are like role playing guys and you're not replacing them with great players either, or good enough players, and you just think you can continue to do it year in and year out, and then you run into seasons like this where the Rams are 2-2, and I'm not saying they're done. They're not going to go on a run and win it, but they're hurting right now, and they got to find their identity. They got to find a new identity because just because you have a Super Bowl champ title on you doesn't – now you got everybody coming at you and going, oh, we can beat the Rams. We can beat the Rams. And Phil K just said it. He's a Cowboy fan. You don't think Cowboy fans are going to talk so much shit if they beat the Rams this week and be like, we're going to the Super Bowl because we already beat the Rams? Like, they have a target on their back. They got to fix themselves, and they got to fix themselves quick.
With Cooper Rush.
Yeah, and it's the same thing is going to happen to the Rams. It's going to be 50-50 Cowboys fans in SoFi on Sunday. It's going to be loud for Cowboys fans. I'm still on the fence on who I'm picking, but each moment it gets a little bit closer to me going 4-0 for Cooper Rush this year. All right, gentlemen, I got to go. I got to wrap it up. Appreciate everybody in here. You guys want to sign off the show? Do your thing. Like,
subscribe, comment. Go follow us on Instagram, MJT Football. Go follow us on Twitter, MJT Football. Go follow us all on TikTok. We'll see you guys next time. Joe, don't you say a damn word. Don't you say a damn word. All right? No.
Beat them boys.